Hello everybody, my name is Rachel and welcome to my channel Colonati. Today I'm going to review a new short story collection by Michael Swanwick called Not So Much Said the Cat, which is a really great title. I started reading Michael Swanwick earlier this year when I binge read his Mongolian wizard stories that are free on Tor.com. I was really impressed at how he so effectively told complete stories, these mini episodes in the short story format. So of course I wanted to read more by him, and I discovered that this collection is coming out from Tachyon Publications early in August. I think it's coming out on August 9th, and I received an ARC of this from NetGalley in exchange for an honest review. So thank you to NetGalley and to Tachyon because I really enjoyed this short story collection. Overall, Not So Much Said the Cat is a very strong and entertaining collection of Swanwick's most recent stories. I thought every story was succinct and well told, even if I didn't enjoy the content of a few of the stories. Now, in the introduction, Swanwick says that he thinks this is his first collection where all of the stories feel like they're written by the same person. So it sounds like he's written some very eclectic short stories over the years. But I would agree that every story in this does feel like it's written by the same person. Now, I would emphasize that there's definitely enough variety across the stories that you're never going to be bored. It definitely switches up the settings and the genres, the protagonists, and things like that, but there are enough similarities, I think, especially in the tone and style and some of the settings, like the Russian or European settings, that you can tell the same person wrote all the stories. I really enjoy collections that feel very cohesive, like they're a decent chunk representative of an author's work and style. I'm not always a fan of reading a collection and just having these things come out of left field, like, wow, where did that come from? I did not expect that. It's not the thing I expected from the author. So this was very pleasant to read because of that feeling. And as has been said before, Swanwick has written a lot of short stories, and you can really tell that he has honed his craft. He knows how to use the short story format. He knows how to write a story perfect for that length, and it really shows. Even from the very first story, I felt like all of these were very strong and taught, very effectively and efficiently conveyed in these shorter sentences and passages that are also very rich and oftentimes quite humorous. Some of the stories that I enjoyed the most were The Dala Horse, which is a Red Riding Hood style SF dystopia story about a young girl traveling to her grandmother's house and she's waylaid by a troll. The Scarecrow's Boy surprised me at every turn. This is the one story in this collection that I went back to reread so that I could untangle the progression of the story. It is so fast-paced. It's really just about a scarecrow robot who saves a diplomat's son, but it was fantastic and has this almost magnificent revelation at the end that's so easy to miss. The Woman Who Shook the World Tree has this burst of energetic scientific activity. You just know that eventually these scientific experiments will end in disaster. You can only go so far until you make a mistake, and then it ends in a pretty touching romantic moment. From Babel's Fallen Glory We Fled is my favorite very science fictional story from this collection. It's about a group of humans who want to be granted a home on an alien planet. The aliens look like centipedes and they have an economy based on trust, which you can just imagine a species, their economy, their currency is trust, working with humans. Yeah, it's discussed a little bit. Basically, an enemy faction destroys one of the alien cities, and an alien survivor and a human take this journey to transport all of the city's knowledge to another city to restart it. And like a lot of Swanwick stories, this did not end in the way that I first thought it would. The final story I quite enjoyed was the Surplus and Darger installment. I believe that Swanwick has written a lot of stories and maybe even a novel about these characters who are con men, and one of them is an anthropomorphized dog. In this story, Tawny Petticoats, they recruit the assistance of a woman to help them in a black money scheme in a fantasy New Orleans with a lot of zombies. There are a couple of stories that I didn't like as much, but that's purely because the content didn't jive with my personal interest interests. For example, I'm not really interested in reading stories about sex, drinking, and debauchery on the eve of disaster, and there are a couple of stories like Libertarian Russia that really feature a darker, depressing, very Russian setting, which I am not super interested in reading about, but that is kind of a tone across many of Swanwick's stories in this collection. There are others I could talk about, like Goblin Lake, but I think I will end here by saying this is definitely not the last thing I will read by Swanwick. I really want to read more of his short stories since I think he writes them so well, and I'd also like to read some of his novels. So that being said, if you've read anything by Swanwick, or if you've read this collection, please comment down below and tell me what I should be reading next, and I hope some of you will consider picking up Not So Much Said the Cat when it comes out in a couple of days, and thank you for watching. I will talk to you again soon. Bye.